Thanks everybody for being here. This is our third and final session for goal setting. We're going to start with an opener, and just when you have something in your mind, go ahead and reply. So the opener: which member of your family has had the greatest influence on your current way of thinking? And why would you maybe say that? So whoever wants to start first.
My mother. My mother absolutely has had the most influence on my current way of thinking. I admire her greatly, and I think how I'm raising my son has a lot to do with how I've examined.
Okay, so your mother.
Mine is my sister. She's like my little sister who I totally look up to, and she's just incredibly accomplished and artistic, and she's a super mom, and she just, everything she does, she's just amazing. So
my grandmother, probably. I don't know, she's just a great matriarch in general, and really caring and wise and funny.
What about you, Pat?
Probably my wife is whatever, and my dad. I'd say those two.
Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody's responses. Thank you for sharing. So just as your family influences your thought process and your ways of thinking, so do the others that are around you in your life. So with that said, that brings us to the topic of today's session. And today's session, you all are going to help as a group one another make a plan for your particular goal. And the plan will be, something that you have a little worksheet in front of you. So you're going to be writing the one goal. You'll want to pick out one goal from the goals that you have set for yourself in previous sessions. So pick out one. And then we will collaborate and come up with an action plan for you, and there's room for you to write notes. And so how we're going to start is I'm going to ask each of you to select your goal, and when it's your turn to share your goal, I want you to start by following your worksheet and saying, this is the goal that I've chosen. It falls under what domain, and the 3 domains or the 4 domains that you can choose from would be family and home. So does your goal fall under the family and home, professional or educational, self, or community? So those 4 domains. And then state whether it's short-term or long-term, and then we'll start, and then the group will kind of collaborate on giving you an action plan. Keep the SMART acronym in mind that we learned in the first and second session. I have that reminder here on the worksheet below for you at the very bottom, just as a reminder. So take notes, and then you will be keeping this worksheet, and it'll serve as a reminder and a little path for you to refer back to, and you will be on your way after this session in achieving your goal. So who would like to start by stating the goal that they've selected? All right, Sarah.
Okay, I chose lose 30 pounds. And I'm going to say that is, for domain, it would be the self. And I'm going to say that is within a 6-month time period, so that's short term.
So, and then we just give her an action plan?
Yeah, so let the group collaborate and briefly create a little action plan for her. So what's feasible, what maybe can she do? And you can always go back and adjust this, that's the point. But this is something to get her started. So go for it, you guys.
I liked something that was said last week by Josh. He said, cut out all breads. Mm-hmm. So if I could write that down, that would be, that would be something.
Also, you recently bought a Fitbit.
I did.
And so I think, to actually start using that and maybe have a baseline of how many steps / calories you burn in a week, and then up it from there, just make it your goal to get 1,000 more, and just get moving.
Use Fitbit, how would I word that?
And
Implement the,
and when would you want to
steps.
start this?
soon as possible.
Okay, so maybe next week have a weekend off for a break and then hit
Well,
it
I've been
next
eating
week, maybe?
breads. I've been hitting all the breads in the refrigerator, trying to get rid of them.
Okay.
So I've just been eating them all up.
Okay.
And then after tomorrow, I probably won't have any bread in my fridge. So. Yes, so in the next week or two.
So what should her goals be number-wise?
I just kind of disagree with her bread thing a little bit. I think the first step would maybe a lot of places, if you go to like a say you just go in for a physical, like at the place I go, you can also talk to a nutritionist. So I think the first thing to do would be maybe go get a little physical or consult with a nutritionist so you can put together a game plan. Because when you start eliminating whole, bread covers a lot of ground. And
You're like shooting
that
yourself
might
in the
not
foot
be,
with
and that
two-
might not be the healthiest way or the best way to lose weight. There might be other strategies that.
Yeah, my mother disagrees with the whole bread thing, so that's interesting.
But I just think like a nutritionist would be, and like I said, the 2 clinics I've gone to, you can go after you do a physical. You can definitely go talk to a nutritionist. That's part of the whole deal. So, I mean, a lot of people do it for cholesterol or heart stuff or like that.
Well, I see my doctor in June, so maybe I'll just ask her about a nutritionist then at that time.
And the other idea I had was, were you going to make it a social thing? Like for a lot of people, losing weight is easier if you have a buddy or something to.
So you're accountable with each other.
Lose weight with, and it just makes it more fun, and that's what Weight Watchers.
So like a possible buddy system? Okay, I like that idea.
Any other thoughts or ideas or action plan?
And then what did we say, how many months for 30 pounds? 6?
5 pounds a month.
Even if you try just 3 pounds a month or something, just to.
I think for me personally, I'm not going to actually think about 30 pounds.
The numbers.
I'm going to think about changing the lifestyle habits to make them healthier, like the actually going for a walk once a week.
Write that down. That's
Doing that.
specific, right?
Yeah,
That means
totally.
a smart.
I think the Fitbit thing falls under measurable too, because we have
Yeah.
numbers to guide you.
And
Yeah.
as well, the 3 to 5 pounds a month is measurable too.
And attainable.
Right.
And attainable.
And reasonable.
And reasonable. Right, smart acronym. Timeline, 6 months, we got it.
Yeah.
So how do you feel?
I feel much more confident about it this week than I did last week. I feel like it's an attainable goal for me.
Right.
All right. Who would like to go next?
Okay, I'm gonna legitimize my business, and I think that falls under professional educational. I think it can be accomplished short term, and just to let you guys know what I have so far. See, I know what I have and I know what I need to do. Should I state that or?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have business cards, I have a web page, I have a Facebook business page, I have insurance, I have clientele, repeat clientele, I have
In your mind,
Advertise-
what do you need to
advertising out
legitimize?
now. Okay, so what I need to legitimize would be I need a fictitious name statement, I need a business license, and I need here's one other thing. Oh, taxes. I need to get a tax person and get that all. So keep record of I have all my receipts and stuff, but I need to implement it, put it into a, what is it called? What's the program that you can get to help keep up with all your stuff?
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks, yeah. So those things I need to do. And I think I could do that within 6 months.
Well, I was going to say, I have offered my assistance in all three of those things. So I think getting some support around all three of those things.
Okay.
Like the obstacle about the fictitious business name, we've tried to do that together, and it was an obstacle even then.
Yeah.
What was an obstacle
You know,
in that process of obtaining of
we had to
going
drive
after
to
the fictitious-
Oroville. We had to post something in the
ER.
In
We
the
had
ER.
to. It's like a couple $100. It's
That's a
it's-
checklist right
Mhm.
there.
It
for
is
just
a
that.
So
factor.
you have 3 things you need to do, but you need to establish checklists for each of those 3 things. That would probably be the first thing you would want to do is establish checklists, maybe.
yeah.
I think getting the fictitious business name is probably the most important one of those 3 right now.
Right.
And so maybe just focusing your effort
Just so
on
no
that
one else
one.
can take my Chico face painting name.
.com.
Yeah.
Prioritizing.
Because QuickBooks is very attainable. You go, you buy
It's
it.
attainable, but then like you do it. That's the part where it's like, okay.
What are your
Yeah,
thoughts,
just do
Lauren?
it.
Anything to add from?
I mean, I don't know much about the process, but I definitely agree with what's being said. Sounds like the fictitious business name sounds like the first priority. The QuickBooks, you needed to get on that and do it.
For taxes. Oh, so I think that this is totally attainable. Definitely within 6 months. It's, I definitely have a lot to do to accomplish it, but.
So you've prioritized.
I don't think you have that much to do. The business is up and running. A lot of this stuff you've already done. You have your insurance, you have your clientele, your painting.
Webpage.
All it is little business stuff you have to do.
Yeah.
And the fictitious, it sounds like that fictitious business name or is kind of at the top of the list, just so nobody else steals your idea, and
Yeah.
that has some checklist things that goes along with that, with getting that accomplished. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about, just since nobody brought it up, what about thinking of getting a business account to where all your expenses you charge on that card? That way you don't have to.
We actually came up with that because
A
Chico
separate
State
account.
kept writing a check to Chico Face Painting, and neither of us could cash it.
Well, that's why
And
you
it
need the
was this-
fictitious business name, so
yeah,
you can
so
open
that
an
you can
account.
open an account. So that
Right,
is
okay,
another.
Okay, so you guys have
Back
that.
to
So
the
make,
Yeah.
make these
Awesome.
you make
Okay.
your check payable to Chico Face Paint
Yeah.
instead of Nora.
Right, absolutely. Okay.
Thanks for sharing. How do you feel?
Oh, daunting. Like, I know it's daunting but accomplishable.
If we take it one at a time, maybe, and do the fictitious business name.
That I could do.
Just make
Yeah.
it that. If that's too daunting, let's narrow that down. What do you guys think about that? Just the fictitious business name.
Yeah, that's probably the
That
place to
sounds
start.
like the catalyst for everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really
So maybe
does.
we could prioritize on that
Yeah.
and kind of focus on that. That way you're not so overwhelmed with all the other things.
Okay.
And if you start that business this year, remember you better start squirreling away a little bit and do a little account, because 15.2% that's going to be your social security taxes
Okay.
right off the top. So they write you a check for $200,
Wow. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
$30 of that's going to be going right.
And maybe your
into-
tax professional can help confirm those figures for you and recommendations in terms of that too. So sounds like you have it there.
Cool. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I mean, I hadn't.
I think they
Thought of that.
It's a little. It ends up being a
is your
little.
figure.
It
they
being a
use.
little less than that because there's a little tax-free thing you do on a schedule on your income tax, but that's.
This one used to do taxes. So
Yeah, and I started Bonnie's business. I mean, we
Yeah.
made it legitimate, so.
So maybe he could be a buddy, you could be a buddy.
Yeah, y'all could help me out. All right, cool.
I do not. I have no experience.
She's helped me paint.
So who's next?
Okay, I'll go. My goal is to make progress with the house, inside the house and outside the house, in the yard, and inside the house probably finish painting, and I have to do something with the kitchen probably. And it's an old house, and old houses need everything, so it's definitely a thing where I have to pick out.
That was a broad. What if we focused on or prioritized a little? What are
Kitchen
your
first.
thoughts on that?
Painting first.
Well, I want to do something with the yard. I gotta get my irrigation fixed, so that's more pressing because it's gotta work through the summer and stuff like that. And so I just have to decide how much energy I want it, how much I can do of myself, and how much if I have to hire out to do some of the stuff. Because if I spend too much time putzing around in the house, I just want to leave. So.
Any suggestions or collaborations on what he could do, or ideas, or anything?
Well, we actually got a little jump start on the yard with just moving some things around and weeding and but I think that we could like maybe draw up a game plan for what you want, if you want vegetable garden or if you want just a simpler thing.
Sounds like a list is the first thing to make.
Probably, yeah.
An official list.
And
So
then
get it on paper.
Get all of it on paper.
I mean, the first thing I need to do is call green waste and get green waste back because I need green waste.
Yeah.
Because probably the first thing to do is clean up in the yard. So
And that could be a huge task, so maybe that should be what you focus on instead of getting
The yard
overwhelmed.
is really
by
lovely,
time.
actually. It's actually like, I think it'll be less daunting than it could be. I mean, I've seen some really gnarly yards. His yard it's totally clean. It just needs some trimming back, and the irrigation really.
We'll bring Rudy over and get right on that.
who's
Her dog, he'll dig.
Yeah, no,
He'll dig
I already
for you.
have a total professional Maverick.
Maverick.
Yeah.
Also,
He
digger.
can dig down to the water main.
So cleanup, I'm hearing as the priority.
Well, and I'm taking a class in California native gardens.
Okay, so you're taking a class to get
California
educated about
native
something.
garden to maybe do a little more drought resistant stuff. So what they recommend though is I went over to California Floral, or the Floral Nursery over on California Floral, and they said don't plant until fall and winter anyway. So the guy didn't even want me to buy anything. So at this point, yeah, it's probably more just a planning thing. And so I'm learning about different California natives. So until I'm actually done with the thing, and that's going to be the height of summer. And
So kind of back what Lauren said, get your plans on paper and get things prepped for what you plan to do when
Yeah.
that time rolls around.
And if you do have to hire someone for whether it be like in the house for painting or like Martine for in the yard for the irrigation, like maybe set some money aside for that.
Yeah.
How much per month are we thinking he might want to set aside?
See,
Wanna
I'm
be a
even thinking.
specific-
I'm even thinking of maybe if having someone come to the house and do the yard. Maybe.
So researching and getting some things on paper. So getting some research done, notes, and getting
Right.
things on paper. That might be your first step in this sounds more like a long term.
Yeah,
could
I
be.
mean, there's some short-term stuff and then there's some long-term stuff.
Going back in our previous sessions, I think
We were
Josh
talking.
mentioned that some goals could be both short and long term,
Yeah.
depending on circumstances. Okay,
I think it's
All
I
right.
think it's both. I think it's both short and
All right.
long terms.
thanks for sharing.
I guess that leaves
Lauren,
me. So I went ahead and chose the enroll in graduate school, but as I'm thinking about it, to make it more specific, measurable, and achievable, I think something we talked about that wasn't necessarily on this list, but a short-term goal to get there was finding something to do in the few years in between, because we already established that it's going to take a lot of money and research and applications and taking certain kinds of tests and so on and so on to even begin the application process. So in the meantime, really developing that goal of getting in at a charter school, even if it's just a intern volunteer situation, maybe turning that into a paid thing for now, because in the long run that will look good on a grad school application, getting some real experience. So I guess first, I don't know.
Well, so in my mind, your first goal has to be finishing your undergraduate degree.
Then
Which she's walking like
in a couple weeks.
Mm.
So
And then
That is actually-
would you take the GEDs right after that?
GREs?
GREs,
No,
GEDs.
they cost quite a bit of money that I don't have. And,
And you know the degree that you want.
anthropology. So,
saving money for the GREs would be on a list.
finding a way to pay my bills would be nice. The savings kind of hard when you can't even pay those, but yeah, that's kind of goal number one. Is I really don't know how to pay bills, let alone save for GREs. So that's why some kind of paid internship in the meantime, because my other job options are so limited with my back and so much.
So applying.
Are you in debt from student loans and all that?
Oh, of course I am. But I mean, I have no money to pay those back, nor any job for them to even.
Well, because
come
after
after, so.
6 months, you have to start paying them back. If
So I
you're not in
think-
school.
So I think she's saying a
But I'll
foot
have
in
no
the
money
door
in 6 months.
to get a paying position that would help you then begin that process. So
Yeah.
getting a foot in the door, paid internship or paid position somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
So looking into charter schools.
What about, have you gone to the school and done any, what do they call it, when you go in and you have your degree and you go knock on doors in that field and try to get a job in your field right away?
Most of them are archaeological and forensic, which requires a lot of manual labor and digging that I'm not going to be equipped to do. The other things I could do would require, again, startup money that I don't have either. Applying for grants to do like some research project in some tribal native land somewhere. But I mean, that's. I picked a field of study that requires money, and I don't have it. So that's just.
So finding resources, maybe connecting yourself with resources
Oh, yeah.
and perhaps maybe mentors, getting your foot, like you mentioned before, getting your foot in the door to an internship might extend your resources in terms of your networking ability, which might then maybe turn into some financial prospect there, maybe, or at least mentorship and guidance, possibly. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean.
I think you're looking at it too narrowly. Anthropology is a huge, wide spectrum field. It's not just archaeology and digging and all that. There's
sure.
all sorts of cultural anthropology and studies on current social mores in every society. So there's probably more work out there than you think.
So maybe you're saying broaden your horizons and do something that may not be necessarily in what you want to do, but in the general field of anthropology that might
Right. Get a,
That's
give
not,
you
like,
the
physically-
funds.
find
yeah.
a, find
right.
a, find a
Okay.
career, find
Okay.
a career counselor and just really pick their brains and
I
see
mean,
if
I
it
talk
just
to my
seems.
instructors all the time. I mean,
So that might be maybe what you want to focus on then is just the networking part. Take advantage of the resources that you have right now and perhaps that your school offers even after you graduate. So what's the pessimist look right there? What's that going on right there?
I mean,
Is there a change in a mindset that needs to happen too?
no, I don't know. I love my major, but I guess I could say I feel a little abandoned by it. I don't know. There is no place for me unless I had. I mean, I hate bringing it back to money, but unless I had the money or the financial background or, parents who had a fund saved up for me at some point somewhere, it's just one of those fields that it's kind of a lot of red tape, unless you're super, I mean, I could spend the whole summer writing research papers and applying for super big grants, and that might be something I could do, but it's not something I'm going to do in the next 2 weeks while I'm trying to finish my undergraduate. Everything's just a big mess. I'm finishing some long-term goals, I'm getting my degree, and then I really don't know what I'm going to do after that, so I have no clue.
So
I really
then,
don't know.
to hone it in and make you feel less overwhelmed, what are some things that, what are some suggestions the group might make?
Well, it sounds like financially, like you're gonna need money sooner than later. So you gotta find some way for that to come in. But I know that is daunting. So
It's not even a topic I want to bring up.
yeah. So I don't know. This one is tough.
Are there possibilities of working outside of your,
School, working at a
A
charter
job,
school.
getting a job.
Working at a charter school would be outside of my
getting a job? Yeah.
specific major.
Well, Chico has a couple charter schools.
Yeah.
I mean, at least there's
That's
some options.
kind of all I really have to hope for. I can't really go work at Target or anything that's going to require me to do anything that's going to strain my back. So I mean, I've already learned that from experience. So I don't have those options, and I don't have disability as an option. I don't have any kind of income option for me.
So Sarah, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, so being proactive, networking, and then looking into charter schools in the area. Do you have any?
Are those 3 things you can?
You would do
start
teaching,
with?
or what would you do?
Are
At a
those things that you
charter
could
school.
start with and pursue to help you kind of get the fire under your butt to even contemplate any of the other things that need to get
That's
done?
pretty much all I have, really. Is
So let's
to-
write those 3 down.
Is sit down with the teacher I know that
So
works there.
networking, which we have down.
And I say career counselors and just pick their brains more, or find new ones or different ones. Find someone that has a different angle. And
Then
see
your
if, see
teachers-
if you can come up with
Existing
that.
resources at the
But
school.
I think, again, like I said to Sarah, I think the place for her to start too is if she needs to get a handle on what's happening with her back. So maybe she should go get a physical and see what the hell's going on.
I've been
Because you're
doing
so young to be putting such limitations on yourself. You got a long way to go, and
I've
to
been
not
doing
to
that
just
for years.
shut the door on.
I just had an appointment yesterday, actually.
Well, that's a start,
I've
then.
been proactively doing that for years. It's been a years long process that is still in the process. So, I mean, it's as daunting to me as it is to everyone around me to have to hear about it. So,
Do these 2 things that you have written down so far, do they feel like things that you could do?
I mean, this is what I always do. I know millions of people in town. I mean, I know people that work for the charter schools. Networking has always been my fallback for anything that I do.
Would you
or
do
don't
teaching at charter school, or would you do like
it'll be
secretarial or whatever is
blessed
there?
to teach at a charter school. I wish, I hope, I am striving for it. I don't know if I can make that happen. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm going to see what I can do.
Yeah.
I have to get my
So
degree
just
first.
trying, making some attempts. You
I have to get the degree first.
You have a
That's
lot on your
happening in
mind
2
right now
weeks.
because you're
I'm
graduating, right?
graduating right this
So a
second.
little,
So that's
yeah.
huge.
So a
I
lot on your
cannot-
mind right now.
I cannot take on anything
I think
else.
I think we all feel there's a lot on your mind right now.
Yeah.
But in the future, just trying to get over that hump. Like going back to what Sarah said, do you think there's one thing you could do? Let's just pick one thing. See a career counselor after graduation.
I mean,
Just one thing.
I've been to the Career Center at Chico State. It's really not helpful. But I
Chico
sat
State
down and
has
talked
a
to them.
reputation of being able to place
super
kids
helpful.
like almost better than anywhere
I went and
else.
sat down. I made an appointment. I made the initiative. They really didn't help me at all. It is what it is. I
Okay,
don't
so
know what
else
else to say about that.
counseling
I've been to
resources.
them. I
Okay.
don't know what else to say to them if I went there again.
Okay.
Um,
Well, so you're in a place right now, so there might even be other counseling resources that might help you. I feel like there's clouds right now that you have a lot of stress. You're graduating, you have this huge events going on right now, right? This huge thing.
That's huge.
So maybe things can clear up and open up once that's out of your mind, and then you can kind of. Okay, so at least you've jotted down some ideas that you can look at after you graduate, and then you might feel more optimistic about, okay, 1 or 2 things. And maybe that's your game plan is just putting that aside until after you graduate, and then you could look back at your notes and say, okay, maybe I could do this one thing. So that's thanks to everybody for sharing. I think that's something you can work with. You have notes on the paper that you could work with. So that's all we're asking for is that. So yeah. Well, thanks everybody for sharing. I hope you guys have learned something or gotten something out of this or some direction as to where you might want to go and what the process is in goal setting and achieving a goal. So I thank you for your time. And then I will just pass out, well, before I pass out, are there any questions or anything in closing, anything that you'd like to say? I think you guys have these action plans that you could refer back to. I'll have you guys fill out a quick post-assessment and then you'll be done. But before that, is there anything else that you guys want to?
No, this has been a positive experience.
It's
been-
fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, I will pass out this post-assessment, and please be honest, I won't get my feelings hurt at all. So you don't need to write your name on them or anything. Just, circle what your responses are. It's a quick assessment. And then we will end it at that. Thanks for participating. And I hope you guys have gotten something out of it. Mm-hmm. Anything.
My ability to plan and execute goals has improved. That remains to be seen.
I think
But
you've
that's
already
on me.
crossed off
That's
a
on
couple on your list.
That's
You're ahead
on
of the
me.
game.
I'm just gonna give it to
You have crossed off one on your list already, so
Yeah, we went for
have
like 5 runs so far. We don't have that.
and none prior to this. So you see, you've
Yeah.
executed a goal already.
Yeah.
In one session.
Also,
So boom.
so it's inching this way.
There you go. Yeah, be honest, I won't have any hurt feelings, I promise.